Hello, everyone. Steve from, I think I might be live. Um, let's have a look, see if I am. Oh, yes, I am. Okay, that's good. I need to check for comments, see if anybody joining me live, someone's watching. If you're here, let me know you are. Say hello. And I'm sorry I'm late. I had planned to come on a little bit earlier today, but I went to a memorial kind of if service, not really a service, it's just memorial gathering for a colleague, sort of business colleague that I've known for 10 months since I moved up to Manchester, and he died in a car crash a month ago. So it's been quite really sad for the family and friends. So yeah, so I've just been there and got home, and I thought, right, I needed to still do this. It's a productivity group after all, right? So you just get it done. And I feel like I could have done this tomorrow, but I thought actually it's a good opportunity to do it much later in the evening at 9:10 to see if it was suit. 'Cause we do have Americans in our midst, and your timing is different. So I'm trying to figure out a time that might suit all of us in some way. And I figured 8:30 might be ideal, but of course I'm on here late at night. So let me know if the time actually works out for you as well. So what I wanted to do in this session today was I'm going to be working based on the information and the questions you've been asking us around how to just get better at being productive, how to avoid procrastination, how to organize your schedule, how to have a system. So there's all this stuff that are tied in to being productive or being your best productive self, right? So that's something we're going to be doing and something I'm going to be supporting you with. What I've been trying to do in the last couple of weeks, or really, have been to start from the basics. So that's what I wanted to start with. That way, once we have the basics, then everything else will flow from there. And last week, I was talking about why productivity mattered and the kind of things that might happen that would derail your productivity, and why you might need peak performance coaching, because how it's directly tied to your performance and then your revenue. And so that's what I did last week. This week is the next thing I wanted to do, because I do this with clients. I'm taking you through the stages in which I work with clients. This is a stage that do not pass go. So every client that I work with will always have to do this personality test, because it holds a very significant key to productivity. Hi, Haley. Let me know you're here. If you can see me, hear me, just give me one of the emojis so that I can know that that actually it's coming up live. Yeah. So where was I? So yeah, so the whole point of it, I would always get someone to do personality test, because we can work out where their strength lies and what they find difficult or what they find challenging. That way, if it's something that they can tweak their personality or their effort to achieve, then they can tweak it. Thanks, Haley. Thanks for the love. Got it. But if it's something that is stressing them too much, and what I mean stress, like it's just too much of a leap for them to do those things, then this is where we'll be recommending or suggesting that they outsource those pieces of work, either because they don't have the time to do it, to learn it, or it's completely out of their zone of genius. So that's what I wanted to share, and that's why I always get people to take the personality test. So end of this video, I'm going to be asking you to take your personality test, and I'll drop the link in the comment. Some of you have taken this already, and let me know what the results were. But for the rest of you, I'd love for you to actually do that. And I'm going to go through what I'm going to teach you today, and then let me know what you make of it. Okay, so this is the first few stages of understanding how your productivity profile works, okay? So I'm going to be checking. So Haley, let me know you're getting this, and if you have any questions, put it in the comment. I'll check my phone, so I'll be able to still check that that I can get the comment coming through. Okay, so where were we? So the topic, or what we're going to do today, we're going to go through the sharing why this is the case, why your personality trait and your productivity tactics are linked, okay? And understanding one will help you with the other thing. We're going to talk about what part of the personality profile that I'd want you to focus on the most when you're trying to figure out techniques that might suit you. So everybody's technique cannot be the same. We're all different, and that's the point. So what Pomodoro technique will, personality type will hate it, and that's something to know. It won't be helpful, or they might manage it for a while, but it won't be necessary. So what you do is end up sort of being hard on yourself, that you I don't know, you're not able to be as productive as the next person, when really it's got nothing to do with that at all. So that's what I'm going to be sharing. And then finally, how to maybe use it to your advantage. And hopefully with any other subsequent session that I'm going to be delivering on a weekly basis, you will be able to understand how you might do that, especially when I start to understand your personality profile much better. Okay, so for now, it'll be generic, but I'm going to show you how to spot those things. Okay, so do you know what it is? So you might be thinking, maybe you most like to work by yourself, or you prefer to work with a team, or you recognize that you hate some particular tasks, like admin, for example, or you can't stand things being out of place, you need them to be set in order, or you don't even care where everything sits, or you get distracted easily, and you know you get distracted easily, or you can concentrate for a long stretch of time. You know, this is not, in fact, anybody who disturbs you or distracts you, they would, blue murder. So, but other people, you only need to just say hi, and it'll be a long 1 hour conversation. This personality type of me, I'm sure there are a few of us who are similar to this. So, or you procrastinate for days. So you know what you need to do, you just can't be asked to do them. Or you can be asked to do them, you are bothered by them, but you just can't seem to find the motivation to actually at least attempt the first step. So everything is overwhelming, everything is massive for you. Shining object syndrome is practically your default setting. So again, it is recognize this. You're not alone, because a lot of us sit under that umbrella. Wow. Now, knowing the personality profile will help you make sense of it. So the problem I'm trying to work out is, some days you do something, you do a lot, other days you can't be bothered. There's no routine, or you have some routine, not consistent in your approach, or you try some technique or productivity technique or apps out there that don't seem to fit you particularly. So here is what the briefing is. For Myers-Briggs, if you've never done this before or heard of it before, I'm going to be a quick run through about it, basically. So it's the Myers-Briggs personality profile. It's about 40 years old in terms of this particular combination by the mother and daughter who finalized this profile, and they did it based on the research and psychology profile, sort of research from Carl Jung. He's a notable psychologist. We studied when I was studying. It was one of those textbooks you had to study him. And the purpose of his profile was about how people are different based on certain characteristics and certain elements that affect them. What the mom and daughter team did, I think Catherine Myers and I forget the other, anyway, it doesn't matter, I can't remember what their name is, but both of them decided that they needed to tweak it in a way that made it more easier to understand and useful in people's everyday life. Otherwise, it's just a theory in a book, okay? So here are the 4 parts, and I've got some cards to help you with them. in a minute, and I'll do that in a bit. So it's about preference. So if you've ever done the test, you will know that they're looking at 4 key letters, and they represent the letters based on something. So the first one is around favorite world. In other words, how does a person or you as an individual want to focus? Do you want to focus it more on the outer world, in other words, what's happening around you, or are you more inclined to focus on your inner world instead of what's happening with you? So which is what we call extroversion, which is outer world, wanting to know what's happening with other people and other things. Inner world, more concerned about spending time with yourself, and hence the word introversion. So you're either going to be extroversion or extrovert or an introvert. Okay, so if you, Haley, you still there? I wondered if you know your personality profile at all yet. So let me know, drop it in the comment if you are, just so that I can just sort of comment on that. Okay. All right. So that's the first one. So the world in which you live in. Do you prefer, don't forget your preference, all of us have both of them, but we might prefer to spend time in the outer world with people versus spending time on by ourselves in our inner world. So that's the first one. The second letter is to do with how we process information. So the focus or our preference is either on basics information that we take in other words, plain facts, okay, plain information, or you interpret an information that you have and then add your meaning to it. Okay, so you either have basic information you take as face value and you don't dig too much into it, or your preference is to see the basic information but interpret and then add your meaning to it. So what we call this is sensing. So which is what we use for basic information. I've sensed the world, or I've observed the world, okay, observant or sensing, versus intuition. I've seen something, I feel something about that, and it means this to me, and I'm going to run it based on what it means to me. Okay, so that's the second set of it. So the information based on how you process information in the world. Basic, or you interpret and add your own meaning. Yes, Haley, I'm referring to the Myers-Briggs personality. I just wonder whether or not you know what your personality type is. Since you're the only one live on the call with me, so that would be fun. This is both of us. Okay, so let me know while you're doing that. I will just carry on. The third letter, if I carry on. So that means your second letter is now something going to be either S or N. So I'm going to show you mine, just so that I can give you an idea. Can you, wonder if you can see that? There's a delay on the phone, so. Oh yeah, there we go. Hi, Haley. Yes, you are ISTJ. Thank you. I'm going to note that down. And then I will use that. Perfect. That is actually perfect. Thank you. When did you do your test, Haley? Can you answer that? How long ago did you get that test done? That is perfect. Okay. Okay, so if you guys you're still with me, thank you very much for bearing with me. Right, so we have ES, remember we said there's either E for extroversion, or you have I, which is Haley. So you're either E or I, all right? Cool. And then the second was around information, so whether or not we're sensing or intuition. So Haley and I are both sensing, which means we take information as it comes. Haley said done multiple times throughout past 5 to 6 years. I think the most recent maybe a year ago. Always the same result. Brilliant. Okay. So Haley is the opposite of me when it comes to how we see the world. So she prefers to spend more time internally. I prefer to spend more time outer. in terms of collecting information or sending information, we prefer to read it basically, as opposed to, this is Ngozi, Ngozi to the end, she prefers to interpret and add meaning to it. And then to know the intuition. So I hope that you can see this and this makes sense. Okay, cool. I hope the cards are working. All right, so we're going to move on to the third thing, decision. So the third letter is to do with decision, whether or not we're using logics and consistency. So when we're trying to make a decision to do something, logic and consistent, based on facts, okay? As opposed to looking at people and their special circumstances. And this is what we call thinking versus feeling. So, in which case, there you go, Haley. Haley, you are thinking, which means that you will tend to prefer to use logic and consistency. You look for patterns in things and then make a decision based on that, whereas me, like an F, prefer to look at people first and then there's special circumstances. What makes them tick and what was the situation in which they did something that would allow me to then go, okay, well, all right, I get it now and that's okay. But if you're T or thinking, you're more likely to go with facts and not as emotional. Hi, Jillian. Thanks for joining. Jillian, you're thinking EN for the first two. Okay, cool. Okay, that makes perfect sense. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. So that's the third letter. And then the fourth letter is to do with structure. How we structure, how we interpret the world. So how other people see us and how we interact with the outside world. So here too now, we have getting things decided. So we clarify things, we know what we want, we get them done, and there's a process and we just follow it. Versus staying open to new information and option. This is called judging, which is the getting things decided. And as Haley, judging. And then I am a P, which means Haley prefers to get things done. Yeah? They know what I'm doing, they're just structure, get things done. I, on the other hand, prefer to stay open for information and options. So therefore, is it judging versus perceiving or perfecting? I tend to use the word perfecting as opposed to perceiving. So Jillian, you're saying F for number 3. Okay, so you're feeling, okay, great. I've never changed, so that's cool. What's your final letter, Jillian? Let's know that. Now, why have I bothered with this? I mean, a lot of people are like, yeah, what does that even mean, right? Yeah, so what? Now, you will notice I have put the last letters in red. The last letters I directly link to how you work and your business, okay? So it's very important to focus on that one. And this is where we come in. So, the focus is on the fourth letter. Let's see, Jillian, have you gone yours yet? No, not yet. Okay. Right. So fourth letter of the letter, and it's to do with tactics and our work ethics in our work and our business. It's approach to how we approach planning and how we use options available to us. That's why this is key, because it's more than just what you're going to put in the calendar or your diary. At its core is determined our attitude towards certainty, structure, our mental and physical level that will determine whether or not we do a piece of work or not. So those two personality types, hi Jamie, those two personality types means that, here's the thing, if you are P, you are more likely to procrastinate. And that's the rub. So, Jade, like Haley, you'll be pleased to know the tendency for you to procrastinate lower. And I'm going to explain in a bit why. So, does anybody have anything to do with what I've just said, or have thoughts right now as we speak about the fact that if you're P, you're more likely to procrastinate, and if you're J, you're more likely to stay on task at hand? Did anybody want to comment or anything so far about that? I'll wait for a few moments to catch up. And if you're feeling me, definitely give me some love to likes. Or if you're not feeling me, give me some angry face. At least I know you're not feeling me at all. So I'm just going to wait for more minute while I get this done. Okay, last letter. So Jillian says, the last letter is the only one that changed for me over the years. Really? What was it before and what is it now? That is very interesting. Ha ha ha. Let me know what it is. I'm going to move on. So what's the last letter now? Let's know. All right. I'm going to move on. So what I'm going to describe, I'm going to use Ngozi and myself, because that's why I prepared the card. And thank you for being able to offer some variety for me, Hayley. So I'm going to start with me and then compare it with Ngozi. It's amazing because both of us are quite similar in the sense that we're both extroverted with the E, but in terms of how we process information, I'm quite plain, give for fact, and C will make sense of the information and add meaning to it. And then we're both feeling personality, which means that we would take on people and consider special circumstances, and we have emotion attached to those people based on what stories they tell. Okay, so our last letter is more important because we are both co-founders of Aurora. So how we work will be completely different. And here's the thing: if you're P, you're more like your big picture thinker, which means you tend to see things in overview. Okay, and which means what it means great compared to Ngozi. If you're J, you're definitely detail orientated. So you're more likely to focus on the fine print more of getting things done. You're more likely to want to care very much about what font color or what there's something is in the right size, as opposed to the big picture who just want a piece of, I don't know, PDF completed. And that's something recently, by the way. So that's the difference in terms of big picture. A big picture person, for me, I will always underestimate timing of things. So I hope you get to see that. I'll underestimate timing. Ngozi, on the other hand, with J, means just to able to gauge how long it will take her because she allocates or accounts for those time. And that makes sense, doesn't it, really? Because once you're detail orientated, you know roughly how long something is going to take. Me, on the other hand, with a P, means that I'm guessing how long it might take. So for me to counteract that, I now have to add extra time to be able to buffer the fact that I haven't taken into account more details. And that's only something I've started to do more recently, really. So that's what I wanted to say there. Now, if you're P, you focus on opportunities. So you tend to see opportunities wherever. So which means we have a risk of shiny object syndrome because we can go, that's a good idea, that's a good idea. We come up with big ideas all the time, which means we can just hop on one and go down that rabbit hole. I mean, before you know it, that big picture idea that we had before that we were supposed to be doing, we've now abandoned it. If you're Ngozi and you have a J, then you tend to stick to decisions. Something comes up, you made a decision, you go with them. It's on the list, you're going to follow it through. So their personality, they're both valid. That's the point about it, personality stuff. There's not one is not better than the other. But you can see how in our business for Aurora, me and Ingaji having the opposite end of that letter means that we compensate for each other very well. So you can imagine that if you're on your own in your business and you are a P, that you might find yourself tendency to shiny object syndrome, and you have big picture but you're not getting the details correctly. You're underestimating how long something's going to take you to do the work. Therefore, you can see why when you're hiring a staff or someone to support you or getting a team in place, that you get someone who had this J, the judging personality, so that they can see the bit that you can't see. I hope if that makes sense to anyone here, let me know. Is it making sense? So, Gillian, you said it fluctuated between the two, J the last time, and then P. So it's funny because you might just be on the border of it. Sort of 50% here, 49% another time, which means that you have a tendency to do both. So, let me know if that's okay, that's clear. Is there any questions so far, by the way? Has anybody got any questions to ask me? Or is it making sense? Or do you feel like I'm just teaching you to suck eggs? Because that's not what I want. Okay, right, so I'm going to carry on. So the P, again, very flexible, quite relaxed, can deal with expected and unexpected challenges, because we kind of run on that, frankly. Aware of possibility, we're always on the lookout for them. So as soon as we see something, it will spark ideas, spark another idea, spark another idea. Before you know it, we're so far out from what we started trying to do, which is great if it was a good thing. But if it was supposed to have a task at hand, you can see how that completely wasted time. Willing to jump at a moment's notice. So if someone asks for a favor, we're more likely to say, yeah, I'll do it. Because A, the shiny object syndrome. Provided we enjoy doing it or we like to do it, then we'll do it. And the final piece about it is that we tend to focus on what makes us happy. So if we're not happy about our business or a particular piece of task or a client, we're unlikely to push through it to get it done. It will be shown, we will know, everybody will know that we're not happy with it. So that's what I want you to know there. Yes, Haley said making sense for you, great. So if this P suggests that we need to be happy to be able to do the work. The J, on the other hand, or I'm going to use Haley this time because you're also J, is that you're detail orientated, so you gauge time pretty well. You stick to decisions that you make. You find it hard to pivot, actually. You consider 5 contingency plans rather than just winging it. The P perspective personality would wing it and just make it up as they go. They have mental checklists, this J, so you kind of have in your head, know all the things you've got to do, which then increases your tendency for stress. Okay, because it's a lot of mental load you're carrying. You're great with the actual list because you can tick off as you go, because it's a sense of achievement and the rest of it. For perspective like me, I don't really care about the list. I don't mind writing a list, but I'm not really that hung up on, oh my God, I ticked one. You know, I don't really care. I know I'll get it done. If I get it done, then that's okay. I don't need to tick the thing. But I think for Jay, they quite like this list because it shows progress. And they usually have a very strong work ethic. So that's what I wanted to share about comparing these two together. Okay, so in terms of like what I just to recap it, that if you are P, you're more likely to procrastinate, and you're prone to shiny object syndrome. You've got loads of ideas, you get overwhelmed by them though, and then you get not sure where to start or all that stuff, and then sometimes you just stall or you procrastinate and just faff about. So this is what happened here. And the minute you don't like what you're doing and somebody said, oh, you want to go for a drink? You're going to go, yeah, sure, because it's a way for you to avoid, okay? The judging tend to handle procrastination much better. Provided it's on the list, they want to do it. But they do get overwhelmed by too much on their plate because this list is growing. And it never occurred to them to stop putting it on. So they tend to follow the list to the end at that point, burnout is at the other end of it. So they have more risk of being burnt out if you have a J personality. And of course, what the beauty about them, they're less likely to jump ship halfway through a project. They will finish it off. So you can see why both personalities are perfect. But if you are a solopreneur, you're by yourself, which is why I asked in the beginning, when you were joining a group, if you plan to have teams, because for the most part, we can't do it all ourselves because we're usually one half personality type. So where possible, you want to hire someone who can do the other side of the work that you can't do or you struggle to do. Okay, so that is the point there. So if there are any questions, I'll take them now. I said I'm just a list person and that's it. It never runs out. You complete one thing and 3 things are added. Yep. So yeah, it's just a personality type, and that's what I'm trying to say. There's nothing wrong with any of that. You know, me not doing the work, me personally sort of shiny object syndrome. On the surface of it, it's okay that we do those things. What gets us ideas. And it's okay that you write your list and you sort of stick to that because the work needs doing. What we're trying to get at is how can we know, okay, I can't procrastinate for too long. I can't go down rabbit hole number 55 today because I've got to get this piece of work done. So if I have an idea, I'm going to write them down on a piece of paper or somewhere so that I can store them and I can go back there and have a look at the idea. If you're J, you're going to be thinking, right, I've got all this list of stuff. I'm going to focus on my top 5 today, or my top 3 today. I'm going to pick the priority. I'm going to see who can help me do some of the other stuff I think are priority, but they're all priorities on the list. But I'm going to have to be strict about how I prioritize. That is all this is going to be about. Jillian did a got a good list, but I have tiny objections from too. Jillian, I think you're on the border. I think you're just half and half at this rate. But I might send you another test to do which is more accurate. It's not as pretty as the one I'm going to send you guys, the 16 personality. But if you're on the border, and let me know if I send you the link to 16personalitytest.com, and if you're on the border and you don't particularly agree with the assessment, let me know and I'll send you the other test. It's not as pretty, but it's more accurate, especially if you're on the edge with that. But I prefer people to be on 16 personality because it's more detailed and people comment on it and you can compare yourself with other people and stuff like that. Jillian, you're screwed up. You're perfect. Haha. So next week, what I want you to do at homework, all right, because some of you did it last week when I put it at a post, but I do want you to focus on it because this is the no part go area. Okay, like I said, we need to work out which part or which part of your personality you're struggling with, which task you don't like doing. This will help us immensely. So I want you to do the personality test. I will put the link back again in the comment. And then I want you to add a unique post. So just open up a new post and post it. And post me what the personality said you were, okay, what the test said you were, and your feeling about it. What do you make of it? Do you agree? Do you not agree? Which part really hit you hard, right? And that's what I wanted to focus on, especially around the task area and you doing work. So when it got to the bit around your work or how you are in a career, that kind of thing, focus on that for a bit. And then just see if you can pick out whether it makes sense or why you are the way you are. And the bit you think, oh, no wonder I've been beating my head against the brick wall. I completely hate that then. But I just thought I had to be like everybody else. And that's not true. You don't have to be like anybody else at all. Just be yourself. Just more improved self. Hence why you're in peak performance coaching group right now is to how can I get you to level your productivity. So I hope you've enjoyed today's session. I'm glad I came on and did it. It went on longer than I thought, but that's why you get it. You're in the group, so you get the full bit as opposed to the 10-minute thing. So let me know any questions before I close up, because otherwise I'm pretty much done. And if there any question anybody want to ask later, put it in the comment. I'll come back and answer it. All right. Otherwise, thank you so much for being with me this late, 9:45 in the UK. So bye everyone. Have a good evening, and I will see you again next week. All right. Bye.